In 2016, the first season of One Punch Man have been released, and then 3 years later, it followed up with season 2. Flash forward 5 years later, and we still haven't even seen an official trailer for One Punch Man season 3. We only got a teaser, and it's been 6 months, and yet we have any new news about it. So, what the hell is going on? Earlier this year, we actually received an official teaser of One Punch Man Season 3, but then we kinda went silent. The trailer actually looked pretty nice, and a lot of people do agree with me. At the same time, at the end of the trailer, we received a very interesting thing that made a lot of people question and be like, you know what? I think One Punch Man might actually fall into the same animation trap that it happened with Season 2, and that's because in Season 2, it switched studios technically from Madhouse to J.C Staff, which really gave us some scenes like this. But then, at the end of the official teaser of Season 3, we received the same studio taking Season 3 under its wing and basically promising that they're going to deliver a very good animation, unforgettable one. Now, that actually made a lot of people kind of lose their mind, like how the hell are they going to make it? Because in season 2 we received a lot of bad animation scenes, so how is that going to be different? But you got to understand, a lot of people don't know this, but they only had 6 months to animate season 2. Even with the 3-year gap that it had, it wasn't like, oh, they finished season 1 and then they moved studios and they animated in those 3 years. No, that's not how animation works in Japan. Basically, they have to find the producers who are going to produce the show. They're going to have to find the slot that they're going to, publish the show in, which TV and all of that. And it's just like a whole new process, and it doesn't happen over a day and night. The only shows that we have that are kind of greenlit after their seasonal release are let's say My Hero Academia. But now it's a bit different because we don't have an official release date for the show. We received an official teaser, but at the end we only received it's being animated by J.C Staff, and basically gave us who's gonna work on the show. And there's a lot of interesting names in it. As you all know, and you guys probably don't know this, but it doesn't matter who's the studio that's gonna animate the show. That only means that they only have a bigger workload or something. For example, MAPPA is a really huge studio, animation studio, so that does have a lot more employees that they can take more projects on. They can maybe fast up the pace instead of going a bit slow. But smaller studios have a little more staff in it. But at the same time, it only matters when it comes down to it, really. It only matters who's gonna work on this, who's gonna direct it, who's gonna be the character designer, who's gonna animate it, who's gonna basically do the coloring, the environments, and everything like that. That's what really matters in the animation industry. And if you have been keeping up with the One Punch Man official Twitter type of media, I guess, you can see that every month we're getting a new character visualization. Now you might be wondering, who's the guy who's doing the character designs? That answer will blow your mind literally, because Ryosuke Shirakawa is the official character designer who have literally worked on Violet Evergarden the movie, A Silent Voice the movie, Beyond the Boundary, I'll Be Here Future. Those are some really freaking amazing projects, and if you have seen the characters, you will be like, okay, I have faith in what they're literally cooking. I'm not gonna say oh, I'm definitely 100% sure the animation is gonna look fantastic, but this guy is a freaking talented guy. Based on the projects that I have seen from him and how he illustrates his characters and how he designed them, I 100% believe in his talent. He's also the guy who was in charge of the animation direction for Spy Family Code White. And if you have seen that movie, you know that they were cooking there. Not only that, but Shinjiro Kuroda is also the second guy who's also doing the character designing. And if you don't know who that is, he basically worked on Spy Family Code White as well. He was one of the key animators there. And he also did SK8 The Infinity. He's now working on One Punch Man, basically season 3 for the character designing. But he did work on some really amazing projects as well, so I do believe that he and Ryosuke are gonna actually like pull that off in terms of character designing. And also based on the character designs that they have released, all of them actually look pretty much like close to the manga rather than the characters in season 2 when they were like a bit far from the manga, and that's because of like the time constraints and the direction that they were going with. So with that in mind, I do believe that they are doing like their best to make it as good as possible. Now that's not the only reason that makes me comfortable that the production is going right, but also if you look at the other staff who's working on this, you're not going to believe who's actually working on this as well. Names like Tomoharu Suzuki, which if you don't know him, he worked on Lupin the Third. He's also like responsible for animation. Chikashi Kubuta is also working on One Punch Man Season 3, also in the animation department. But the most important aspect, or one of the most important aspects in my opinion, Makoto Miyazaki is actually working on this as well. And he's going to be like basically doing the composing for One Punch Man. And if you don't know him, he's the guy who did the composing for One Punch Man Season 1 in 2015. And he's the guy who did the composing for Spy Family in 2022. And he's also the guy who did the ReZero Starting Life in Another World. So honestly, with like all those staffs in mind, I do believe that this season will actually be a lot better than season 2. But if you're not like convinced in that aspect, there's actually a lot more reasons. Here's one of them. Basically, the official teaser of One Punch Man Season 3 had been released, but yet we don't have an official release date for the animation itself. And we know that when there's an official release for like that animation, it means that, like, you know, the animation is almost complete or they're like really finishing up. But that means that they're having a lot more time than in season 2. I'm not saying like they have all the time in the world, but it's at least a bit more time than season 2 itself. I do believe that they're gonna pull something off in season 3 because they have a lot more time on their hands, and also if they play their cards right, and if they do a 12 episodes instead of a 24 episode, basically covering from chapter 86 and then to chapter like 115, when we basically see the final monster getting defeated, only revealing to be, you know, God or something, then that's actually would be like a great cliffhanger, and then they would like announce the next season in like the next year. So that would roughly give them around a year as well to finish the next, you know, the next part of the season. If they were working on the 2 parts, that would be like the smart move in my opinion. If they were to do like a bit of a rushed move or a dumb move, then they're gonna cover basically the whole arc, which basically gonna mean that there is gonna be rushed animation in it. But I do believe that since Season 1 had 12 episodes, Season 2 had 12 episodes, I do believe that Season 3 will also most likely have 12 episodes. Now, recently, DBDM have actually had a chance to talk with Chikashi Kubuta, the official character designer for One Punch Man Season 3. He's the one who's also helping Ryosuke-san for animating One Punch Man, or basically designing the characters for One Punch Man. When he asked him about the production and if he can say anything about it, he'd say, I can't say really anything, but there is some sort of problems going through the production. Now, that does not mean necessarily that the production is like stopping or there is like a lot of problems, because as we all know, when they're animating a project or whenever there's an animation project involved, there does have like some new and small problems or issues that they have, whether it's time constraints or how much of the pacing they're going to cover and so on. So those problems does occur. So it could go both ways, that there's only like small problems that he can't talk about, such as time constraints and so on, or the release date or the delay or whatever. And then there's like the big problems, but I do believe it's the small problems, and, you know, let's just keep it to chance. Whether it's on the release date, I would say that One Punch Man most likely would be released in 2025, giving it roughly around, like, I wouldn't say like the beginning of 2025, but rather the late or the fall of 2025. And the reason for that is basically the voice actor of Genos have released like the projects that he worked on and the projects that he's going to work on, or like the scheduled projects that he's going to work on. One of them was Genos from One Punch Man Season 3, which means that the animation is going to be like ready later around this year. The reason that this actually might be the chance, because in voice acting in Japan, usually when they want to voice act something, the voice acting is done after the animation is done. Rarely does it happen that they voice act while the animation is in progress, so they have like still frames or rough frames and they're just voicing that. But usually it's just finished and they kind of like voice around that. So I do believe that they have a lot more time, at least like double the amount of time that they had when they animated season 2, and I do believe that they're gonna pull off something nice. In my opinion, I do believe, like, what I think their plan is to release 12 episodes around, let's say, like October or maybe like September, something like that, around that time. That's when One Punch Man season 3 is gonna get released. They finish at the end of the year, and then they say like next year or something like that, and they don't specify a certain time. That's when they're gonna continue with season 4, similar to like with Bleach, the Blood War arc that happened when they basically split it into different parts, and they kind of like teased us at the end that's the next season is gonna come next year and so on. That's what happened also with Soul Leveling, so I do believe that that's what they are going to do. I have belief and I do have faith in what they're cooking in. I do believe that they're going to have a really great animation and a really great season, so far better than season 2 with the staff that I've seen and the staff that I told you guys about. But that's honestly my honest thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about this. Are you guys excited for season 3? What are you expecting from season 3? And do you believe that season 3 is actually going to be good? I have been the TMVZA, a new name for me, by the way, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.